Hello everyone. So today I'll be installing a simple backsplash for my bathroom. So this is a picture of the bathroom. Sorry for the mess. I was putting everything together. I should have taken a picture as it was empty. But it looked kind of plain without a backsplash, and then washing hands, a lot of the water goes onto the wall. Now, over here, this is just the measurements, actually the exact measurements. The side wall is about 15.5 inches, and the back wall is about 28 inches. And so with those measurements, I'm able to cut my trim to those specs. In this picture, this is actually the trim that I use. It is made out of aluminum. What I did was for the edging for the tile, I purchased this piece. It's about 1/2 inch, and it's gonna give it like a nice smooth finish on top. I already started cutting the 45-degree angle here, because at this point, this is the part where, if you can try to picture it, this is where the end of the vanity is going to be, and then it's going to go straight down. And I'll just have a nice cut. There you go, right there. Not perfect, but it's good enough. Okay, obviously I'm going to get another piece of the channel and bring it down. I believe it's about 4 inches. So using the hacksaw and this jig over here, it gave me a good idea of how to cut the angle. Not perfect, but close enough. And it's basically just things I have around the house. This is the part that I'm going to reach with another corner. So it's going to be a 45-degree angle. I already marked off my pencil marking right there. Okay, and then using this end to make that 45 degrees, so it will butt up next to the next channel that I'm going to place it next to. I know what you guys are thinking. This is probably ghetto, but I bought that yellow piece specifically for this project. It was fairly inexpensive. And there is your 45-degree angle. All right, so almost a clean cut. Good enough. So now with the tile on my surface, I want to know how much of the channel I need to go from top to bottom. That will be connected to this piece right here. This is another 45-degree, and it measures just under 4 1/4. Okay, but I have to keep in mind that I want to give a little bit of space between the top and the sink. Okay, so about 4 1/4. Yeah, 4 1/4 is perfect. The next thing after I cutting all my my trim is that I will get a file, okay, and just very lightly, so it's not that sharp. This one I already did, but basically just kind of and then I have to be very careful not to hit the edges here, because this is actually where it's going to show. So anywhere underneath it's fine, and that should be fine right there. Okay, so again, here is another piece. I'm sorry about the bad lighting. Let me try to move this over here. Here you go. So it's very hard to tell, but you can actually see some of the rough edges. And so what I do is just very lightly and now it's smooth. So here I'm not too worried about, because that's going to be hidden behind a tile, but still you want to have that clean edge so that it will butt in very close to each other. So what I did was I measured from top to bottom of the tile, and I am going to leave less than a 1/8 space underneath. So when I place it under the sink, I'm sorry, above the sink, there'll be a little bit of a space there. And at that point, I'm just gonna caulk it across. I already measured everything against this wall, right under the mirror. And I'm gonna start spreading the tile adhesive. And now it's such a small space and it's gonna be really tight, so I opted for something like this. You can definitely get the larger trowel, but this would actually be very helpful because then I can just kind of go down and place the setting. Okay. Now I put the blue tape here, the painter's tape, just to protect it and at least protect this sink from the tile adhesive. You don't have to do it. I'm gonna do it. Okay, and let's get started. What I'm going to do first, after making my line and dropping the placing the painter's tape just for added protection, I'm gonna start from this corner and work my way out. Okay, I'm only gonna go to the length of the sink. So I already have my first tile cut and it's squared away. So right here, and then I have that extra little piece right here that I'm gonna place right in there, this corner right here. Okay, so let's see. All right, now again, I'm using a smaller trowel. It works just the same, okay, because I have a very small distance. I could have went out and bought a larger one, but I didn't think I just needed it. As long as everything is even, this should work just fine. So it really depends on your project. So I purchased a small bottle of Acrylic Pro at your local hardware store. All right. So, okay, good. So let's apply the first batch on. I'm going to use the small end first and then use the longer end to even everything out. In some areas I won't be able to do that because it's a very tight corner, especially behind the sink. But this should be fine. So I'm going to tile to the length. I'm sorry, I'm going to place the acrylic paste to the length of the tile and keep going forward. So there you go. It's really hard to see, but I try to get it as even as possible. And the next thing now is to place the first tile in. This is the direction that it's going to go, okay? And because this tile had come off, I had to take it off to make sure everything was all together and it would be square. I'm just going to cut out this netting here, okay? Because if I were to put it up, I don't think the tile adhesive would stick to this part. Okay, so just taking off only with a pair of scissors. I should have done this before, but that's okay. This goes pretty quick. Okay, there you go. Now we can just place it along our line. And you just want to press firmly so everything is sticking to the wall. And then with this final piece here, I'm just going to put a little bit of the, just butter it up a little bit, like so. And place it right here. And then from their point, I'm going to place my spacers. And so now let's move on to the next part. All right, so next thing, place the next set of tiles on. So now I'm going to go outside and I'm going to cut the tile right where it needs to be. And that's how it's going to end this corner of the sink. To cut my tiles for the bathroom, I don't have a special tool, tile cutting tool, wet saw, or what have you, because it wasn't really a big project. So what I did purchase was an angle grinder by DeWalt, and I did change the blade, this blade here, for it to cut things like ceramic. They also have different blades to cut stone, concrete, and what have you. So this, unfortunately, I don't have any video. So probably in the future, I'll do it again because I do have to do some tiling in the other bathroom. But this worked pretty well. And I was happy with the outcome. Alrighty. Okay, so now that I have that part cut, I'm just going to place all my mud here. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's place everything in. And we're done with this side. So when you're placing the tiles, you want to make sure that it goes on very slowly and keeping a spacing apart between each tile. Now, what you didn't see me do is I did put some adhesive behind that last aluminum corner piece, and there was also some adhesive behind that tile as well. So I'm just trying to fit everything in, making sure everything is snug. So the same process I'm actually going to do on this side. This is where the tile is going to be. And so I'm going to place the tape like so. Maybe about a little bit more than a 1/4 inch away from the wall, so it's easy for me to peel away the tape. And let's start tiling again. So now this time it's going to go this direction. Okay, so now I'm going to start running up against the wall with the adhesive. Okay, now I'm going to get my trim. Slowly slide it in along my line that I drew. And now what I'm going to do is use a tile and put more adhesive on there. By doing this, I ensure that the tile will be sticking to or adhering to the trim from behind. Okay. Now we can set it. Okay, so I already cut my tile. Just going to cut the backing off. And I'm just going to place a little bit more. For the end piece Just gonna put it there loosely. And then here I'm just gonna put some more of the adhesive so it actually attaches on over it. I'm not gonna put much, it doesn't need that much, but just enough. Okay. More than 24 hours since I placed the adhesive on the tiles and then to the wall, so it's on there quite solid. So I took out all of my spacers earlier, and then now I'm laying down painter's tape again, because at the very bottom, that's where I'm actually going to caulk the bottom tile edge. Everything else will be grouted, okay? And what I'm using is, it's already pre-mixed. Again, got it at the local department store, and gonna get started. This one looks like it's, I still have to reset this, but other than that, everything should be close to the edge. So when I do caulk it, it'll be kind of a straight line. So I brought I bought this at the same department store. It's a grout float and fairly inexpensive. And then I got a little tool here, a plastic tool, so I can get the grout out of the little bucket it came in, and then just spread it across. Then with this thing, kind of run it across the tile, filling in every crack. So, all right, so let's get started. You don't want to forget your sponge. In case it gets on the trim, it's easy to actually wipe off while it's still wet. All right. So what you see me doing here is I'm just going to place some grout on the area that I want to fill in the spaces, and then thereafter use my float to push everything through. For the upper edge, you still want to grout that as well. So what I normally do, or would do, actually kind of get it up to make sure it's all in. And then slide it right across. So you get a nice flat surface. So more or less the same thing. I'm just placing some more grout down with my spatula and then scooping my way up. Again, trying to get as much grout into the spaces. Remember, although I don't do it here, you want to go in two different directions. So right now I'm just going up, and then as you've seen in earlier segments, I want to cross. So the next thing I'm going to do is remove all my painter's tape. Now it's just a matter of waiting for it to dry. And then I can seal it, but also place the grout on the very bottom. Okay. So I bought this white caulk that I'm gonna actually caulk on the top. That way it has like a seamless, there's no breaks, it'll be pretty much seamless against the wall. So I'm just gonna go across this way and down, and then along this edge here. So again, just going on the right angle. Not a right angle, 45-degree angle. And then slowly just pushing it in to the wall. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Just solid caulking across, kind of gives it a somewhat seamless to some degree, right? And the last thing you need to do is actually place everything caulking on the bottom. And I'm done. All right, so here we go. You always want to make sure your tip is clean, so you have a nice solid bead. I'm going to start from the middle of the sink and out, and then likewise on the other side. And you kind of want to go slow, but keeping steady pressure on the trigger. Pretty much uniform all across. And what I do is I normally release it, that way not too much pressure is coming out, which is still making the caulk come out of the gun. And then I have to change my approach here. It's gonna be a tight angle. Finally completed. Here's just more so a close-up of everything done. I wiped everything down with the wet sponge to get the loose grout out. Here is a before shot, again an earlier picture, and now this is a after shot.